Founders Academy is a 3-part learning journey designed around the real stages of company building. Lesson 2. Identifying your leadership style before you recruit. Leadership style is not who you want to be. It's who you default to under pressure. Learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, you will understand how leadership style forms, how it shapes communication and decision-making, how personality frameworks can increase self-awareness, and why knowing your own defaults is essential to building a team that complements, not mirrors you, and that helps you succeed. Introduction. Why leadership style matters earlier than you expect. Before you recruit, ask people to join your journey or define roles. Whereas many founders assume leadership style becomes relevant later, once the company is larger, roles are defined, or management layers appear, I think it's important from the beginning. In reality, leadership style shows up the moment someone else depends on your judgment. I have seen early teams struggle not because the strategy was wrong, but because the founder's way of leading created friction without anybody naming it. I have also seen small teams move with extraordinary speed because the founder's leadership style matched the moment. Leadership style is not a personality quiz result. It is a pattern of behavior that becomes visible under pressure. And the founder's job, your job, is to be self-aware and discover what your style is and what you default to. And pressure arrives far earlier than most founders expect. Section 1. The founder mindset shift. From intent to impact. Most founders define themselves by intent. They know what kind of leader they want to be. They value openness, excellence, trust, or autonomy. Their intentions are usually good. Teams experience leadership through impact. A founder may intend to be empowering, but comes across as absent. Another may intend to be decisive, but come across as dismissive. These gaps are rarely about character. They are about unexamined defaults and the perceptions by different personalities and communication styles. Strong founders stop asking, what kind of leader do I want to be? And start asking, how do others experience my leadership and my behavior? Section 2. Leadership style as a set of defaults. Leadership style is not what you do when things are calm. It is what you do when things are unclear, urgent, or uncomfortable. Take a moment and get to know yourself. Ask yourself, when decisions need to be made quickly, do you step in or step back? When something breaks, do you take control or gather input? When tension appears, do you confront it, smooth it, or avoid it? These defaults are not good or bad. They are adaptive responses shaped by experience, personality, and belief systems. The problem is not having a default. The problem is using the same one everywhere, or of being unaware of what your default is. Understanding your leadership style begins with noticing what you do automatically, not what you admire theoretically. Section 3. Using tools, a useful lens, the Enneagram. I personally like to use different tools when assessing personality and leadership styles and seeking some level of self-awareness. However, it's important to remember that personality frameworks are only useful when they increase awareness, not when they excuse behavior or create labels. One framework that I find incredibly helpful is the Enneagram, not because it puts people into boxes, but because it highlights motivations under stress and different communication styles. The Enneagram is a personality typing system that describes 9 interconnected personality types, each one with a number and a cool name, each defined by core motivation, basic fear, and desire that shape an individual's worldview and pattern behaviors. At its core, the Enneagram describes patterns of attention, what we focus on, what we avoid, and what we fear losing when pressure rises. For founders, this matters deeply. Some leaders default to control when they fear chaos. Some default to speed when they fear stagnation. Some default to harmony when they fear conflict. And some default to competence when they fear being exposed. The value of the Enneagram is not identifying what your number is. It is recognizing what drives your behavior when you are tired, stressed, or under scrutiny. That is when leadership style and communication matters most. In my team, I often find the Enneagram explains people's varying communication styles more than anything else. An 8 on the Enneagram exhibits high levels of engagement and intensity in a conversation, and that can be experienced by a 2 as aggressive or even scary. As a 7, I can observe this and understand both sides, but it's only by understanding each other's underlying natures and styles that we can accept these differences without judgment or emotions and ultimately grow strong team dynamics. My suggestion is explore. Any and all leadership and personality assessment tools will take you on a journey of self-discovery and self-awareness. Section 4. 4 common founder leadership styles and their shadows. In addition to your self-awareness and leadership style, there are founder styles. Over time, I've seen most founders gravitate towards one primary leadership style early on. Many recognize themselves immediately. Most discover the shadow later. Some founders lead as drivers. They move fast, decide quickly, and push momentum forward. This style is powerful in chaos and early execution. Under pressure, drivers often communicate bluntly and expect alignment through speed. The shadow appears when decisiveness turns into impatience and teams stop contributing context. Others lead as architects. They think in systems, structure, and long-term design. They communicate clearly, carefully, and precisely. This style excels in complexity. Under pressure, architects may over-explain or delay decisions while seeking coherence, leaving teams unsure when to act. Some founders lead as coaches. They invest deeply in people, alignment, and motivation. Communication is relational and encouraging. Under pressure, coaches may soften messages or delay hard calls, creating ambiguity where clarity is needed. Others lead as operators. They focus on execution, detail, and reliability. Communication is practical and task-oriented. Under pressure, operators often step in to fix things themselves, becoming a bottleneck without realizing it. Each of these styles is effective in the right context. Each becomes limiting when overused. Explore your own style so you understand yourself and build the strongest team around you. Section 5. How leadership style shapes communication. Leadership style and communication style are inseparable. Drivers tend to communicate in outcomes and deadlines. Architects communicate in context and systems. Coaches communicate in values and people impact. Operators communicate in tasks and execution detail. None of these are wrong. Problems arise when founders assume their communication style is neutral or universal. I have seen teams miss deadlines not because they didn't care, but because they were waiting for clarity that never came. I have seen founders feel ignored because their team needed context before committing. Leadership awareness means realizing that how you speak determines how others respond. Section 6. Why awareness enables complementary teams. In general, unaware founders hire mirrors. A decisive founder hires more drivers. A relational founder hires more coaches. A detail-oriented founder hires more operators. This feels comfortable. It also creates blind spots. Aware founders do the opposite. They hire complements. They bring in people who slow them down when needed, challenge assumptions, add perspective, and balance risk. They design teams that cover their blind spots instead of amplifying them. These lead to great teams and incredible companies. The goal is not sameness, it is range. But in order to realize who you need around you, first you need to be self-aware on who you are. Section 7. Leadership style and company stage. What works at 10 people often breaks at 50. Early stage companies benefit from decisiveness, proximity, and hands-on leadership. Later stage companies require delegation, trust, and distributed judgment. Founders who do not adapt feel frustrated. Teams feel constrained. I have seen founders blame talent, culture, or motivation when the real issue was leadership style lagging behind company stage. The company did not fail. The style simply stopped fitting. Here is a practical self-diagnostic. The fastest way to identify your leadership style is not reflection in isolation. It is pattern recognition. Consider the last 3 months of pressure, a missed deadline, a team conflict, a high-stakes decision. What did you do first? Then look at where the company bottlenecks. Where do decisions wait for you unnecessarily? Where do people hesitate? Where do they move without you? Your leadership style lives there. Adapting leadership style does not mean becoming someone else. It means expanding range. Drivers learn to pause and add context. Architects learn to decide before everything else is perfect. Coaches learn to draw lines and make hard calls. Operators learn to step back and let others own outcomes. The strongest founders I know did not abandon their natural style. They learned when to use it and when not to use it. Now, here's an assignment for you. Map and complement your style. Your task is to name your primary leadership default under pressure. Identify where it creates speed and where it creates friction. Then ask a harder question. What style is missing on your team? Who balances you? Who challenges you productively? Leadership is not about being everything. It is about building a system where everything is covered. The key takeaway today is that leadership style is not a label, it is a lever. Founders who understand how they lead gain leverage. Founders who don't unknowingly limit their companies. The goal is not to change who you are. The goal is to lead deliberately, especially when pressure is high.